Welcome back. Welcome back to Josh Hazelwood State Farm. This is the second play in your sales playbook on the Hazelwood Agency sales practices and processes. Elephant in the room. What I do to my arm? I don't think I've told y'all yet. You don't need to know. Just kidding. Popped a bicep tendon. Wasn't lifting funky weights. It was helping a neighbor. So it hurt. We're scheduled to get it fixed. Probably been in this sling for a while, so these videos will probably be loaded with my arm in a sling. I can still use my hand, but I can't twist or pronate my wrist because that's what your bicep does. It turns your hand over and over again. And I need to keep my thumb in the sling because it does hurt when I start moving it around. But number two is the internet lead. This is your second play in quoting an auto insurance. Again, what is an internet lead? Internet lead is one I paid for that you'll get a Skype notification on your computer when you're sitting in front of it. It'll say something like, I can't remember what it sounds like. Boop, bleep. I don't know. I can't mimic it. But you'll get a notification if your sound's on, it should be, that there's a new internet lead that Josh paid a lot of money for that needs to be worked within 60 seconds. 60 seconds. You're going to have to click into that and call them. And Ricky Bobby said it best. Talladega Nights, if you hadn't watched it, it's a fantastic movie. If you ain't first, you last. You got to be the first one to get that customer on the phone. They're actively shopping for insurance. We're assuming they are. We're hoping they are. And they're inside the quote and they're putting a little bit of personal information. I've called the customers before and they said, man, that was fast. You called me, I wasn't even done with the form yet. I don't know how it happens. I don't really care. But they've given us permission to call them, text them, and email them a quote from Josh Hazelwood State Farm. End of story. 60 seconds to call them. And when you call them, what does it sound like? Well, it sounds a little bit about something like this. Hey, John, this is Josh calling from Josh Hazelwood State Farm. Hey, I know you're busy and you're on the phone and I know your phone's probably blowing up right now, so I won't take a lot of your time. The reason for my call is I saw you were shopping online for auto insurance. What's got you shopping today? He may say something like, price. Has your insurance bill been going up lately? He may say something like, yeah, I'm sick and tired of them raising my rates every time I turn around, every 6 months. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, hey, I agree with you. My rates are going up. All of our customers' rates are going up because it's the environment that we're in. We don't have any control of that. We're not going to cry over spilled milk. We got to work with what the company's giving us. So, how much has your bill gone up lately? He's going to tell you. Then you're going to empathize with him. Really? I just got off the phone with a customer that had a 50% rate increase on his car and his homeowner's insurance. We saved him almost $1,000 a year. What would you do with the extra $1,000 in your pocket? And then shut up. More than likely, if you've gotten that far, you got them. You got their attention. And then we'll move on. But let's go back and let's read that again. And I'm going to read it verbatim this time without my little ad-libs in there. So, hey, John, this is Josh Hazelwood calling from Josh Hazelwood State Farm. I know you're busy and your phone's probably blowing up right now. So I won't take a lot of your time, but the reason for my call is I saw you were shopping online for some car insurance. What's got you shopping? Price? How much has your bill gone up lately? Mine has. Is that right? Really? The guy I just got off the phone with that was with your same company, he had a 50% increase in his car and homeowner's insurance. We saved him almost $1,000 a year. What would you do with an extra $1,000 in your pocket? Again, I made it my own. The script's the script. That's about 90% verbatim, but I put my own touches and my own flair in there. You got to do the same thing when you build your script. You can modify this, but the whole point is if we dissect the script, what we did was we got him on the phone and gave him a reason to stay on the phone right off the bat. You identified yourself, I identified myself, and I gave him a reason. That's the first thing you have to do to get in his kitchen. You got to be able to sit down at the dinner table with him or in his kitchen. Most decisions are made in the kitchen. I don't know why. I read that somewhere. You gave him a reason for calling. I saw you were online shopping for auto insurance. What's got you shopping? Here's where you listen. After you ask what's got you shopping, he may say something like price. Price, you're going to identify with him. Hey, I understand. My wife and I are always worried about saving money. Hey, look, I get it. I live paycheck to paycheck too. I want to make sure I can save as much money as possible. Fun fact, most people don't save it, they spend it and blow it on something else. But that's America. That's the freedoms that we have. How much has your car insurance gone up lately? Again, you're asking another question to get them back on the straight line, get them back to the reason why we're calling. Then you identify, hey, you got to give them something to look forward to. Give them hope. Provide a little bit of glimmer of hope. I just got off the phone with a guy whose bill had gone up 50%, much like yourselves. I saved him over $1,000 a year because it had been about 3 or 4 years or more since he sat down and actually reviewed his coverages. Then you ask them what they would do with that. Help them spend it, man. If I won the lottery, don't we all sit around thinking about what would we do if we won the lottery? I know my wife does all the time. I think there's a big one right now. I don't know if anybody hit it last night, but there's a big one going on. We all fantasize about that. What would you do with an extra $1,000 in your pocket? Not only are you helping him put that money back in his hand and actually feel it, and he can think about it and smell it, touch it, taste it, if he wants to touch it, taste it, either way. But if he does, it just gives him something to focus on. It gives him a little bit of hope. And then you're going to move right into the body of it, and you're going to verify his information. You're going to verify name, address, date of birth, driver's license number, any additional household drivers. State Farm needs to know about your risk, what risk you have. The company needs to know. Then you get them to tell you about their car. What are you driving right now, Mr. Customer? It says you put in a 2022 Hyundai. Use the information that was given to you. Year, make, and model, when you bought it, how long you had it for, you got a lien on it, how much is your car note, you own or rent your house. You ask them questions like, are you bundling? Any claims, accidents, tickets in the last 3 years? Homeowners, 5 years. And then you go through there and you say, hey, that's great. Looks like you'll be eligible for home and auto discounts. Customers love discounts. Discount double check. That was one of my favorite commercials ever that some people remember. That and the She Shed. So looking for discounts. Our best discounts when you bundle home and auto. We've also got claims-free discounts for home and auto as well, and several other ones for youthful drivers, older drivers, just different things. And you ask them another question. Would you like to include payment protector? If you're hurt in an accident, State Farm will pay you cash. What do you do for a living? And you roll right into that. Oh, you work at the new battery plant down at Ultium, okay? Man, that's fantastic. How'd you get into that? They'll tell you their story. It's an easy way, good conversation, big rapport builder. If you've gotten this far and they keep talking to you, let them keep talking. Cover what they do for a living. If they say, yeah, they want that, they want payment protector, and then you're going to say, I'll be happy to include that with you. I'm going to make sure I do that when I show you the options. Then you ask them another question. Hey, how would you like to save an extra 10% on your car insurance first 6 months and up to 40% afterwards? And you explain the drive safe and save. You explain that the less you drive, the more money you save. Telematics, what are they? People want to know. The only way to accurately quote your risk and match price with risk is how much you drive on the road. That's your biggest exposure. A lot of people don't know that. Again, you're not going to get into every little nitpicking detail of what an underwriter looks like, because quite frankly, I don't know, not an underwriter, but an actuary, what an actuary looks at in an auto insurance, algorithm. I don't really care to know. That's for them. That's Kentucky Fried Chicken secret sauce. I don't care what's in the chicken. It freaking tastes good. I don't care what's in our actuaries tables, but it looks good when we save them money, right? The customer might ask, more about saving money, and you're going to tell them all about the Drive Safe Save, how it works. You got to have a smartphone, yada, yada, yada. But then you get into your value statement. Giving that value statement is so huge. Now, we're a little bit different than the other guys. We help customers manage the risk of everyday life. They're going to say, what does that mean? You're going to give them the client relation story. What is a client relation story? It's a $700,000 lawsuit. Mr. Customer, if you're involved in an accident, you totaled somebody's Tesla and they couldn't work. Obviously, you know they drive a Tesla, Maserati. You've seen them up the road. Franklin's full of them. Spring Hill's full of them. Even Columbia's getting some G-Wagons down there, I've noticed. But if you injure that guy that drives that G-Wagon or that Tesla, you got to assume he's pretty daggone successful. Well, what if he can't work, provide for his family? Guess who gets to pay the bills? You do, Mr. Customer. You just totaled his car. It was your fault. We get to be the bringer of a check instead of the bringer of bad news. You want your customer, you want to be able to write that check for that prospect. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Prospect, you'd rather me write that check than you? 99%, 99.99% of the time, the customer's going to say, absolutely. The other 0.001% is going to be some smart ass that just wants to be that. And that's ones you don't want as customers. You just want to move on. Then you give your client a traction story. Then you ask an obligating question. Now, Mr. Customer, what if that happened to you? How much of that would you want me to pay? Exactly. We're going to make sure we do that. It's really easy to switch. We'll skip the part. Now, when I call you back, everything sounds good. When will you want to start? It's really easy to switch. We do 99% of the work. Thank you for your time. I'll call you tomorrow. So that sounds like, just in the bullet points that are on the sheet, hey, now we're a little different from the other guys. We help customers manage the risk of everyday life and recover from the unexpected and realize their dreams. Customers will ask, what's that mean? Give the client relationship story, $700,000 lawsuit story. Ask an obligating question. Now, Mr. Customer, if that happened to you, how much of that would you want me to pay? Or the farm, rather. Exactly. We're going to make sure we do that. It's really easy to switch. We do 99% of the work. And when I call you back, everything sounds good when you want to start it. Thank you for your time. I'll call you back at said time, whatever you told me. So that is an internet lead. So remember, an internet lead starts from somebody's actively shopping. You got to be first. Like Ricky Bobby said, if you ain't first, you last. You got 60 seconds. By the time you click on the lead through your CRM and it loads up, if you spend time researching where they're at, in proximity to our neighborhood, what they're driving, whatever else information the CRM spits at you, that's going to take you 5 minutes. And then you're going to get what's called paralysis by analysis. You're going to get to analyzing crap. Well, what if this? What if that? Pick up the phone and dial them. Pick up the phone and get them on the phone. Let your wits and charm and enthusiasm overpower that customer. And that's the reason I hired you, because I saw something in you. Get them on the phone. If I like talking to you, chances are a lot of other people do too. So that says a lot about you. That just means get in front of the customer. Pick up the phone and dial it. Don't wait around to look for everything to load. While it's loading, you're going to be talking to him. You're going to get your script in. You're going to get your ask in. And by the time it loads and you get down to I see you were shopping for a 2022 Hyundai Sonata, it's already pulled up in there. And that helps you further and deepen the relationship. They don't have to tell you to put it back in. So don't get lost in the weeds. You got to pick up that phone. You got to call. Maybe a couple other tips before we go and move on to the next play. Probably we'll go more over this in the task and the prospecting and the follow-ups in some later episodes. But probably one of the biggest thing is don't let them off the hook. If they call and they answer that phone, you may have to give them that $700,000 question earlier than at the end. If they're blowing you off in the front, ask them a simple question. Hey, I know you're happy with Nationwide. I'm excited for you. Why do you like them? Let me ask you a question. What if you totaled a Tesla and they sued you for $700,000 and you thought you had good coverages, but now you got to pay $500,000 out of pocket? How would that make you feel? You'd be mad as a hornet, wouldn't you? Exactly. I would too. Well, many of my customers said the exact same thing. And when I looked into their auto insurance and I did a free quote for them, I checked out their coverages and I showed them what they got and then I showed them what they'd be responsibility for. It didn't take 10, 15 minutes of their time just to review those things to make sure that if something, worst case happens, that we can help you pick up the pieces and we can write a big enough check. But if I get in there and I see that your coverages, Mr. Customer, aren't near enough to protect your assets and income, you're going to have a problem. It ain't going to be my problem because I'm going to offer you a solution. And if you don't want to go with it, then that's fine. Each and everybody sits down to that basket full of consequences at the end of the day. The stuff that you did and didn't do. And Mr. Customer, you're going to get a chance to remedy that today or tomorrow with me at our 4 o'clock call. So being a little, audacious, and maybe a little presumptive, that's okay. That you anticipate him saying yes, you got to have that because that shows that confidence. And that goes back to one of those intangibles that I think you can't coach to. Some people have it, some people don't. But once you become a product expert, know your stuff, then you'll learn more of that, and you'll feel it. When you're on the phone with the customer will be able to feel it as well. So, a couple other tips: get what they're paying, find out what they're paying, so you know you're not wasting your time. Make sure that you build value around each one of our discounts. Make sure that you review each one of them on their own merits, each one of the vehicles on their own merits. They may not want but liability only, lawsuit protection only. Oh, and the biggest steps, and tips that I can give you is talk in terms that everybody can understand. Stay away from comp, collision, deductible. Ask questions like, hey, how much do you want to have to pay to fix your car if you hit a light pole? How much do you want to have to fix your car if you hit a deer? Exactly, $500. Can you handle that? Cool, perfect. I didn't have to tell them it was comprehensive coverage when they hit a deer or a hailstorm or whatever. I didn't have to tell them it was collision coverage when they hit a light pole or hit somebody. All they want to know is what it's going to cost them. At the end of the day, we can tell our customers what they're going to pay out of pocket in a covered loss. That is our goal and our promise to our customer. In a covered loss, we can tell you what you're going to have to pay out of pocket. A lot of companies can't do that. A lot of companies can't. I would say 90% of the companies can't do that. There's only a few that can write the same that write on the same form that State Farm writes on. State Farm form is more of an all-inclusive. It doesn't have to be named to be covered in a homeowner's. It's got to be specifically named not to be covered in our homeowner's policy. Auto insurance, we talk about fair market value. A lot of customers don't know. I give the example of Jessica that works for me. Her brother bought a salvage title vehicle, paid about $19,000 for it. Got hit by an uninsured motorist, totaled it out. State Farm wrote him a check for $30,000. There's your story to use in your conversation, in your rapport building. $30,000. He made $11,000 in an accident. We told them it was a salvage title, but fair market value, because he couldn't go out and find that same exact car, the same year, make, and model. It got him exactly to as close as possible, because that's what it took to indemnify him, to make him whole to where he can go out and buy one almost exactly like it. It'd be hard to find a rebuilt title, but almost exactly like it. That's what our policies are. That's why they're different than the other competitor policies and products. They do actual cash value. They depreciate the crap out of you. Simple as that. We don't do that. We always do what's right. Why do you think State Farm's became, and that is, they are number one in home and auto insurance? It's because they always do what's right. We may not like it, but they always do what's right by letter of the policy. And our policies guide us. We have to do what the policy says by law. So either way, that gets off on a little bit of tangent, and another day, another video, but that's an internet lead. That's somebody that's actively shopping for insurance, for car insurance. And I hope you pick up on some of those. Ask lots of questions from your peers, and put yourself out there and work some internet leads, and you can be real successful at that. Oh, one thing, internet leads are some of the worst closing ratios, and I believe it's because the follow-up. These are good people out there. Not everybody has a spick and span insurance record. Maybe they're shopping because they have a bunch of wrecks or do whatever. But these people are real people that do need insurance. Everybody's got to have it by law. They don't have to have the best, but they got to have the policies. The closing ratios are not traditionally good amongst other people, but that don't mean it's going to be that way in our office, because if we prospect these people and actually apply a follow-up plan and then give them everything that I just went over, we're going to double, triple what the industry average is as far as the closing percentage on these internet leads. So realistically, I think if you quote 10 people, I think you should write a minimum of one household off of those. I'll take 10% all day and twice on Sunday. That's just the way it is. You get better at that every 5 and get it on up to 20%. You really putting the gravy on the biscuit right there. So at first, it's probably going to be down around 5% for you. 8%, is about average right now. But once you start getting the 10, 15, 20 percentile, that's when you know you're progressing. So again, the proof is it's a follow-up. It's how you open. They're going to remember for what you said on that front part, and then it's going to be how you follow up. So in a perfect world, we can start them up that day. But in not a perfect world, it usually takes till tomorrow to do it. But anyway, look forward to working with you, and thank you for your service to Josh Hazelwood State Farm. See you next time.